Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm joined now with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, good to see you.
Hi.
Why do you always do that when we...
I don't know what else to do.
You just go, hi.
Hi. Because the light's a bit bright, isn't it?
People don't look at the camera, look at me.
Okay, it's all right.
Don't be shy, I'm just kidding.
Very shy.
Obviously, we just wrapped up the media workout here for Joshua and Usyk. What were your initial thoughts? Because I noticed that neither one of them really gave anything away.
No, it's obviously because of COVID, we didn't open it up to the public today. We're doing that to the weigh-in on Friday at the O2. And I think fighters, you look at the fighters that are at different stages of their career. The younger guys come out, they do like 10 minutes of skipping, 5 rounds of pads, shadow, and then the more experienced guys come out and just sort of do 1 round of shadow and then do a bit of juggling and go, thank you very much. It's kind of like if you imagine a big horse race and the horses walk around the ring, you know, before the big race. This is it. This is our chance as media and fans just to have a look at them.
That's a perfect example of what they did.
So, isn't it? And it's like, you see Usyk, he looks big. You know, I think he looks a lot bigger than he did when he boxed Chisora. AJ looks in tremendous shape. I think it's going to be a brilliant fight.
How many pounds do you reckon that Usyk has gained for this fight?
Did he come in at 222 against Chisora? Something like that? I reckon that Usyk is going to be between 6 and 8 pounds heavier than he was against Chisora. He looks bigger, his shoulders look bigger, his neck looks bigger. People talk about how lean AJ is. He looked massive. But I don't see him being that much lighter than Ruiz too, when he started coming in a little bit lighter again. I don't, you know, I just think it's going to be a tremendous fight. 2 highly skilled, elite heavyweights, and we're gonna be in for a treat.
How do you think, you know, 6 to 8, even 10 pounds, that's a lot of weight. How do you think that sort of affects Usyk's mobility?
I don't know. I mean, some people say it'll slow him down. Some people think that it might give him a bit more punch resistance. But the same for AJ. You know, when he was big and strong and 19 stone or 18 stone something, I don't think he was punching as hard as he does now. And he certainly wasn't as sharp as he is now. So I don't know. I think it's tough to tell. I think the attributes Usyk needs in this fight is speed. And I think that comes when you're lighter, quite frankly.
It sort of seems like the angle that AJ is taking.
AJ's not buying the too big, too strong, bulldoze Usyk. He's buying the I need to outskill him at times as well. And I'm not going to do that if I'm sluggish and I'm big and I'm slow. So yeah, he's definitely. I think with AJ, it's not like someone who's making weight. You won't see him get on the scales after every session. He'll just train in the way that the team feels is the most effective way to train for Usyk. And in the old days, it would be geared towards lifting and strength and explosive work. And now it's geared more towards boxing. You know, done so many rounds of sparring for this fight, but doing many more rounds of sparring than doing the S&C. Just being boxing fit. Because in the past, he'd come in, you know, and he'd unload for 3 or 4 rounds, and then he wouldn't have the experience of doing 12 championship rounds.
I feel like with Anthony Joshua, a lot of people, at least this is sort of the general consensus of what I'm getting online, is that the keys of victory for AJ is to obviously use the size advantage. Obviously, he's a good boxer as well, but Oleksandr Usyk is a superior boxer. So does he?
Maybe. But I believe that people underrate AJ's boxing ability, and I think he's getting better and better. The bit that's a little bit worrying is there's definitely a side to AJ that wants to show you that he's the superior boxer in this fight, which is could be a dangerous tactic if he don't get it right. Because yes, you're right, his power and his speed and his accuracy could be telling in this fight, but he definitely wants to show people how good he is technically. And you won't see a performance like Ruiz, where he had to be super careful, but you may see a performance of, you know, taking his time and breaking down and then ultimately beating him up. It's going to be a really, really scary few rounds to start, because I think it will be super cagey. And I think there'll be a lot of feints and, you know, I don't know. I'm quite nervous, to be honest with you.
I was going to ask you. I'm like, are you low-key nervous with this fight?
AJ is in the best frame of mind I think I've ever seen him for in a fight, in terms of how comfortable he is, in terms of just his mindset, and that makes me more comfortable. Like, you have to understand, AJ was in fights well before his time, So when he boxed, even when he boxed Dillian, you know, when he boxed Vladimir, even when he boxed Charles Martin, you know, Povetkin, Parker, like he was a novice, and he didn't know what he was doing, but he went into a lot of those fights second guessing himself and had to just come out the other side by using strength and guts and power. Now he's a seasoned professional, and he actually is comfortable in a ring, and he knows what he's got to do, and I feel much more comfortable when that happens. But I also know how good Usyk is, and the thing that's scary about Usyk is not that he's a crazy guy and not that he's violent, because he's not. He's really smart and mentally very strong, and that for me is the scariest thing going into this fight, because it's not a guy that will crumble. It's a guy that in his head knows, or thinks he knows, how to beat AJ, and he's good at carrying out that game plan.
Have you seen the mental homework that he does?
It's very weird. I don't know. AJ's big on that. Like, you know, if you look at AJ's camp, he does all that brain training and stuff like that. It's really deep for me. But I've sat in many press conferences with Usyk, and he just starts writing down numbers.
Yeah.
Dillian Whyte gave a good interview the other day where he sort of said, you know, I think they said to him, yeah, Usyk's crazy, when he's not crazy. Like, he's not a crazy, violent man. He's just a bit eccentric. I do think a lot of it he plays up to as well. Part of his character, because of his lack of English, that's his way of putting across his personality, and it works for him. Because you think this guy, like, fans love him, he don't even speak the language, but it's just the way he acts
it's endearing.
It is. I don't you know, look too much into writing down numbers on bits of paper, but he's a smart guy. Smart guy inside the ring.
Let's talk about the rematch. You did say that there is a rematch clause, because I know for a while there, none of us really quite knew what the answer.
Like, you'll very rarely see a fight of that magnitude that doesn't involve a rematch clause, to be honest with you, with a champion and a challenger. Doesn't matter whether it's matchroom, top rank. I mean, every Lomachenko fight, you know, Campbell, Crawler, they were mandatories. They all had rematch clauses. By the way, Usyk's very happy with the rematch clause, because he will make an absolute fortune in that fight. So, yeah.
Could you give us any details on the rematch clause?
Nothing really, no. I mean, just that it exists. And
you said he was going to make a fortune. I'm just curious.
Because it would be a huge fight. Like Andy Ruiz made a fortune when he rematched Anthony Joshua. It's just what happens. The fight becomes much bigger, but we're not planning on exercising any rematch clause in this fight. Just about winning on Saturday, and it's nice to be involved in a fight where I'm sure there'll be a question or two about Tyson Fury and Undisputed, but no one's in every question, every interview I've done, maybe one question, but, and I'm hoping you won't change the trend, but like, no one's really, everyone's so pumped for this fight and so excited for this fight that's what we're focusing on. And all these fights, AJ against Pulev, AJ against Ruiz 2 a little bit, all over AJ Ruiz 1 was Wilder Fury, Undisputed, what, you know, and I think AJ's excited by this fight, and so is everybody else.
One of the things that I like is that we're starting to see a little bit more of AJ personally. Does that make sense? Because do you know what I'm saying by that? Like, when he does interviews, when he's talking, you know, he's chatting a bit of shit sometimes. Yeah. I'm quite liking that, actually. Yeah, I like the engagement he's been doing with him and Tyson. Really, it really builds up the future fight, should we hopefully get that at some point.
But I mean, we've represented AJ for 8 years, of which I think, to be honest, you've probably been around for most of that time. You know, he's a really good guy. Like, it's difficult for him to give every time for everyone, and sometimes you'll miss out on an interview and stuff like that. But generally, if he could, he would do everything, right? I think through the Ruiz defeat, he just realised, you know, a lot of people can turn their back on him, and this isn't you or media, but just generally. And I think he thought to himself, you know, I'm going to do it for myself, really, because you can't rely on people to love you forever, unequivocally. And I think one of the most pleasing things, which has probably seen him come out of his shell a little bit more, is the support he's had in the last 6 to 9 months. I've seen a bit of a swing. You know, like, I feel like he got a lot of criticism about the Fury stuff originally, and then when people started to see the truth and actually believed that we did want the fight and we were pushing for that fight, the new wave of support for him has been fantastic, and with him fighting Usyk, and with people starting to look at the resume and go, do you know what, fair play to this guy. Like, he is fighting all these top heavyweights. How can you not like the guy? Like, he's genuinely a lovely man. And I've always wanted people to see that side of him, because he's got a great energy, You know, like when you're around him, you feel uplifted. And I think some of that times he's having to put that on when he's probably tired and pissed off, and like we all are.
Yeah.
But he has a really good energy, and he's a really good guy, and he's out here now fighting for legacy. He's not fighting for money. And actually nors Usyk. You know, and that's when you get great competition, you get great nights, when it's really, honestly, like, I'm not saying AJ doesn't know how much money he's going to make on Saturday, but he's not thought about. He wouldn't think about it once, and nor would Usyk, because this is purely about legacy and honour, and that's when you get, like, Canelo's the same. All the money in the world, you know, all the belts in the world, just about legacy and honour and winning, and that's when you're in it for all the right reasons.
Right. Dillian Whyte, obviously, he's going to be fighting Otto Wallin. Great fight. I just want to ask you about what you thought on Tyson Fury saying that he wanted to fight Dillian Whyte in December.
I mean, Dillian Whyte's been ordered to fight. Tyson Fury's been ordered to fight Dillian Whyte on multiple occasions. I can't believe people give Fury a pass for some of the things he says, but he's eccentric. He likes to get people talking. He won't fight Dillian Whyte, and ultimately he's going to fight Wilder, maybe. It's still 3 weeks this Saturday. 2 weeks this Saturday.
2 weeks, yeah.
I mean, I hope that fight happens. I know he's in Vegas, but he's not prepared for that fight, really. And I hope he wins. But, you know, I don't know.
Why don't you think he's prepared?
Because he's not. You can tell by his camp. You know, he was prepared for that second fight. He's not prepared. He may be well enough prepared to win this fight, but he's not. When I say he's not prepared, let's just say he's not prepared in the way that he was for the second fight. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll come in heavier. I think he probably hasn't had the sparring all the time. You know, he whether he did or didn't have COVID, he had the birth, I think, of his daughter. You know, I know there's some problems there. Thank God that's fine. And if you asked him honestly, have you had 100% camp going into this fight, he couldn't possibly say yes, and that worries me because
And are you saying that there's a chance now that because I know at one point it was kind of like you believe Tyson was going to win the trilogy. Do you feel like there's a chance that Deontay Wilder has an edge?
No, he definitely doesn't have an edge, but he has an equaliser, you know. But like Tyson Fury at 50% shouldn't lose a round to Deontay Wilder, but you switch off once and you could go to sleep, and that's what makes it exciting. You know, I know that he's beaten him twice before, and the last one was a mismatch, but you can never say that a Wilder fight's not got some kind of excitement to it because he's very limited, but he can really punch. So I don't know. I think because of Tyson not being 100%, I think it'll be a lot more exciting than it should be, because it should be a formality, but it might not be.
I just want to say thank you for making the fight on December 18th against the Josh Taylor fight as well, because you just made me split between attending an event.
That's all right. You make your choice, and if you don't come to ours, you'll never be welcome back. No, look. You know, unfortunately with COVID, there's very little arenas available. Manchester Arena was available, and we just went for it. You know, it's going to be a massive undercard. It's a big heavyweight fight. Josh Taylor's a great fighter. Like, it is what it is, you know. And unfortunately, it's difficult to get venues at the moment, but it is what it is, and it'll be our Christmas cracker, the Christmas cracker.
Yeah. Lastly, Ed, I want to ask you about an article that was written about DAZN USA. It insinuated as though, or was said, that the main objective at this point is to really focus more so on the UK market than it is the US market. Could you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't talk on behalf of DAZN. I'd say that's probably fair. Like, I think that, you know, DAZN is a massive business, and it's a sports streaming giant that has major rights for major sports in many different territories. I think sometimes people don't realise that, you know, in Italy they have the Serie A, the national football rights. You know, they're huge in Germany, in Canada, in Japan, and there is a boxing element to their platform as well, which is their predominant focus in the UK and in America. I think that in America they've got the model right now. You know, they spent a lot of money early on to establish their brand. Now they have a significant amount of subscribers. They have a great product that is very cost effective and great value for money for subscribers, and I think they're understanding the market a lot better. In the UK, they're very much more aggressive. I think they're going to add additional sports to that platform over time. So I think people might look at that comment a little bit, you know, as they shouldn't, which is just because they might have more of a focus in one specific market doesn't mean there isn't any focus in that market. We have many years left on our US boxing deal. They're very aggressive. We have Mikey Garcia coming up on October 16th. We have at least 2 more fights to announce in November and December, Devin Haney being one of them. We also have another big fight that we're working on to bring to the platform. We've had a great run with Canelo Alvarez. Hopefully he returns after the plant fight, who knows? So I can promise you there's definitely focus on the US market, but certainly they are being very aggressive in the UK right now, and there's massive, massive plans.
One of those I'm hearing is that they bought BT Sport.
Yeah, I've been asked that 400 times today as well, and that's not for me to comment. I've read the stuff, obviously I know bits and pieces. It all sounds incredibly exciting, and we'll see how that unfolds.
Well, let's see what happens, right? Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it as always.
We did go over here quite a lot. Am I still on shot? No. Oh, well done, sir.
You move so much, even though there's a barrier.
You're quite aggressive. You're like this.
Okay.
Like that. And then by the end of it, I'm sort of edging back
You
like this. You know
liar.
what I mean?
I'm going to chase you out of this interview is what I'm going to do. Is there anything we didn't cover that we should make sure we cover?
Be at the weigh-in on Friday.
Okay.
We've got about 3,500, 4,000 there already. You can still get tickets and get ready for general sale for White Wallin tomorrow.
Okay.
And don't miss the big fight Saturday.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else